Foremost, I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rekah HaKwadash, and double honors to the apostles and as well as the elders that taught us what we know, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai Brakatham, to all of you Akim out there that's pushing this truth and all those of the household of this faith. Anyway, I want to get into some news in regards to what the UN is declaring on information, right? Fighting against deadly information or disinformation, building a digital army. UN peacekeepers fight deadly disinformation with smartphones, editing apps, and innovative approaches. Some U.S. peacekeeping operations across the world are building a digital army aimed at combating mis and disinformation on social media network and beyond, designing ways to fight back against falsehoods that can trigger tensions, violence, or even death. The UN has been monitoring how mis and disinformation hate speeches can attack health, security, stability, as well as progress towards a sustainable development goals. It has become clear that businesses as usual is not an option. The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said in a policy brief launched in June on information integrity on digital platforms. The ability to disseminate a large-scale disinformation to undermine scientifically established facts poses an existential risk to humanity and endangers democratic institutions and fundamental human rights, he wrote in the brief. And beginning with, the Democratic Republic of Congo, which this article goes out to anyway, they had this Ebola virus happening over there around the same time when we had the COV situation. And then eventually people started complaining about what the peacekeepers were doing and, funding the rebels down there, providing them with weaponry, you name it. And as well as the UN peacekeepers were involved in taking gold and stuff like that, the resources. And that's what people were bringing about, and people are still kind of talking about it on the TikTok. Okay, the TikToky. So I just wanted to do some more research on what people were talking about, what false information was being brought out according to the UN. And I found out quite a bit what I needed to know, and there's probably other stuff. Because, I'm not in the Democratic Republic of Congo, so I don't really know what's going on. So, the research that I found is a little probably, and it's probably other things that was done in that place concerning the peacekeepers down there, And that's just the devil for you, man. Because, why would people lie? Why would a bunch of people give misinformation? For what reason? Okay? We're talking about people that's speaking on the things and they're emotionally driven to do so because how it's affecting them. So obviously they're not going to lie. But obviously, the UN, which is headed by, is Antonio Guterres, which he ain't nothing but an Edomite. As the usual, Esau will say one thing and then do another thing, as it is written in the book of Daniel 8, right? Because supposedly the UN comes in peace, right? But they didn't come in peace. They came to continue on the chaos which was going on in that area in Africa, West Africa, the Democratic Republic of Congo. Daniel 8 and verse 25, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. Now, just to qualify, I just want to say this. This is a prophecy in regards to Antiochus Epiphanes, which is Antiochus III, if I'm correct. So this already happened, but Esau today comes in the spirit. So that's why I'm reading this. And he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many, and he shall also stand up against the princes, but he shall be broken without hand. So I just read that just to convey the point, just like what I've mentioned. I want to read this as well. Psalms 55 and verse 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart, and the words were softer than oil, and yet were they drawn swords, as well as the Apocrypha tells us too, that we're not supposed to trust our enemy. So when the enemy says that they're going to do A, B, and C, you better believe that something else is coming besides that. Or there may be an opposite to what they said they're going to do. All right. And just overall, when Esau does anything towards people, which is the harm, to bring harm upon people, Esau don't really want you talking about the harm that they're bringing, because they want to carry on a narrative that they're making peace, especially in this case with the Republic of Congo, right? Sending these people from, whatever nation which surrounds that nation and that area in West Africa to help those people with the Ebola epidemic and what was going on as well. During that time period, people were being abused, women were being abused sexually, and people were just coming out with the information around that time. Okay, and that's information that obviously Esau don't want to get out. As well as when we was under the COV situation, guess what people were talking about? The COV thing. You had whistleblowers talking about whatever they were talking about, and so much information was going out, which posed against the mainstream narratives. So the ultimate reason why, one of the reasons I would say, the reason why Esau is climbing down on the idea of you saying whatever you want, freedom of speech, is because they're losing the informational war. Okay, people are finding information and they're bringing it on out, and it's hurting the narrative that they're posing. Okay, which leads into what? Eventually, the famine of the word, and that's why I'm going into this right here. Amos 8 and verse 11. Let's begin here. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord Yahweh, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord. And that's what time that we're approaching, because we're approaching also the time when Esau is going to fully complete the Great Reset, as well as they newly call it, what they used to call it, the New World Order. So he's about to formulate it, and you better believe it, around some time later, they're going to get rid of freedom of speech. They're going to have to get rid of that, okay, because it's too much things going on in regards to what's happening with people. People are finding information. People are waking up to a lot of truths out there, or the truth of what's going on, or whatever they find on the internet. And as well as Jake is doing a lot of talking too. Okay, Jake is doing a lot of talking and bringing on that information. And as well as you have the true men of Yahweh Bashim Al Shai, Lord willing, I'm a part of that elk that's bringing out the truth too as well. Okay. And this truth is really getting Esau out of the picture and what they have to say. So that's a dangerous thing. That's a very dangerous thing, because let's just say they have something important to say that they want people to be under. How is that going to work if people have been talking about whatever it is that they're speaking about, or they're trying to announce, Salaki, that they're trying to announce? All right. So this is why you can see why they have to one day get rid of freedom of speech, and why they're going to come up with a great deal of a psychological operation that's going to woo the public to get in line, because the awakening is already happening. And I'm not talking about the awakening to what we know, but just in general, people are awakening to information that which is true, which is against the lies that are told by the mainstream media puppets. All right. So, yeah. And speaking about that, I almost forgot about this article over here. Brazil. It said that in Brazil, you can basically be punished by going to prison for 5 years if you speak up against the Moes. Brazil High Court's rules Mophobia punishable by prison. Brazil Supreme Court ruled Tuesday that the homophobic slurs are now punishable by prison, in a decision applauded by right activists in a country with rampant violence against the LGBTQ community. 9-1 ruling puts homophobic hate speech on the same legal level as racist hate speech, which was already punishable by prison in Brazil. Damn. Justin Edson Fashion, the lead judge on the case, said in his ruling it was a constitutional imperative to give LGBTQ citizens equal protection under the law. And the court had ruled in 2019 that homophobia was a crime just like racism. So they're comparing it to racism now. All right. So this is in Brazil, but just because this is in Brazil, that don't necessarily mean that it's just going to be in Brazil. This law could be happening also in America too, which kind of it is, because let's just say now you speak up against certain people, right, that the media promotes day in and day out, which we know why they're truly pushing these people out to the forefront. Because, I mean, I'm not going to talk about it because I remember I did a video years ago, man, speaking about, you know, the D word and putting that with the LGBT thing. They took my video down. Okay, I'm gonna give you a hint. The DEPO word. You should understand what I mean by that when I say that, right? So they took my video down. But yeah, if you know what I'm saying, that's really what it is. Okay, as well as we all know, we know what the deal is with this alphabet thing anyway, right? But like I said, they come in hard when it comes to you saying whatever you want to say against a particular thing or two, man. And they're just projecting that. You better be careful what you're talking about. And this just keeps people afraid to speak their mind. Because you mean to tell me in Brazil you can be punishable by serving prison time or even possibly being put to death? Then, you know, once that gets out there to the Brazilian people are going to be diseased with speaking their mind. And that's the environment that Esau wants to push out there, an environment where everyone is scared to do A, B, and C because they might have to suffer some form of reaction or whatever they say. All right. And this is how you know, man, that this society is on its way out, because what the devil's doing is he's trying to force his ways down the people's throats. This is how you know he's losing, because when they were winning, they didn't have to do all of this. You know, this is getting silly now, where they're forcing people to basically accept what is being said. You know, once upon a time, people had a lot to say, and they were free to say what they had to say. But now, the powers that are making things very strict for people to say what they want to say, because they're about to lose. You know, so that's all I have to say with that. I want to give all of the praise and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shah Ba'Hashem Rakah HaKodash. And with that, I'm out. Shalom.